like that? You like that? You like that?
We're going to bite a kneecap off. We're going to bite a kneecap off. We're going to bite a kneecap off.
Welcome all, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Lions Villain Report. I am your host, Russell Wayne, and we are broadcasting live into some of our favorite spots, like our Facebook page, where we have 51,000 villains. Yes, 51,000 villains, and we are ready to take the next step as Detroit Lions fans. Let's go and get that Super Bowl. We're also broadcasting live into the Detroit Lions News podcast. And thank you to Joe Chap and the boys for allowing us to get in front of your audience over there. And we're also broadcasting live into Roku. And I don't have a graphic for that yet, but we're going to get there really soon. But this is the Lions Villain Report, and this is going to be daily. This is daily. This is we're in the end season now. Today marks the day where everybody is going to report to camp. And that is pretty exciting, knowing that we have football activities, knowing that we have less than, about 2 weeks left before we can get into a preseason game. We're going to be talking about preseason games here very soon. And I know that it's been a long off season for some of you. What is going on, Scott Harrison? Thank you for being part of the morning program right here, the Lions Villain Report. We're going to be with you all season long. And I have been asked before, why the villain squad? What does the villain mean to us? Now, we made this page last year after our first page got shut down. And we decided to call it the Villain Squad because Brad Holmes goes out, and this was just on some little training camp thing, like right before the season started, and he wore a shirt called the Villain. He never explained why, but I just thought it was really, really cool. I started making up my own thoughts of what does the villain mean to me, and what does it mean to this Lions fan page. And I thought that the villain, to me, from the heart, it wasn't anything like Chauncey Gardner. We made the page before Chauncey Gardner came in with that stupid face mask, that ski mask idea. And that was not the idea that we had. We had it like a sophisticated villain. Brad Holmes seems to me like a sophisticated villain, a villain. He's like Denzel Washington. Goes out there. He's so cool. He's so cool when it comes to the pressure situations right there in the draft room. I love it. I love how cool he is. And, I pictured like a lion dressed up in a suit. And as you can see right there, that I don't want to be the bad guy. That's the type of villain, the type of villain that, maybe is a little bit misunderstood, because the villain gets a lot of hate, right? The villain, nobody thinks that that's the right way to go. But, the villain doesn't have to be necessarily a bad guy. A villain can just be the person that everybody hates. And now that we've had a little bit more insight to what Brad Holmes was meaning about the villains, I love the idea of the villain. The villain is the guy that you can't stop. The villain is the trick bag that, last year Ben Johnson was putting off defenses in. The trick bag, meaning that if you space out your guys right, you can make guys that become the villain. You can make guys that become the villain. That's why he cited Jahmyr Gibbs as a villain. And I can see that. You got Sam Laporta and you got Amon-Ra St. Brown eating up all of the middle of the field. Just getting tired. That's where Jared Goff thrives, right? Just right over here. All these little short passes, real accurate. Getting those guys open in the middle. They got to clog up that middle. They're got to bring safeties down in the box. But what Jahmyr Gibbs brings to that table is he can stretch that to the outside. Maybe Jameson Williams becomes the villain because they are loading up that box. And way there, over there on the outside, you got Jameson Williams one-on-one. You can't run with that speed. That's a trick. That's a trick box. You got to load up the middle to stop David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Then that's going to leave people open on the outside, and vice versa. They'll get to a point where they don't want to, let you get over the top, and they gotta back off them safeties so they can have a guy over top. Well, that opens up the middle of the field. That's when Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta are going to eat. So that's what the villain puts you in a trick bag, and you don't like it. You think that's bad. You're a bad guy. And I love the fact that the Lions are becoming the villain. The last couple of years when the Lions were starting to get good, you could hear the other franchises like the Packers, the fans being like, yeah, you guys haven't won in so long. I'm actually rooting for you. And it's like, shut up. You ain't rooting for shit. You ain't rooting for us. You just want to. It's almost. I don't even know. I don't know why they fluff it up like that. While, I kind of like you guys. I mean, you guys could win one, and then you start beating these teams. You start, whipping the Green Bay Packers' ass in Lambeau Field. Start making that the new Ford Field North. And then it's not, it isn't so much fun and love anymore. It's like, you guys, stop being happy. Stop being happy over there. What do you mean your team's going to be good? What do you think your team's going to be good? Because our team's good? Well, whatever. You think Jared Goff is so good? We finished like a top 5 quarterback. Yeah, you're just stacking stats. You're just cherry picking stats. Well, which stat do you want? Which stat do you want from Jared Thomas, Michael W. Smith, Goff? He's top 7 in any metric. So you can't even argue him out of the top 10. But yet some people still have. Yeah, you can't always look at stats. It's like, well, you can look at all the stats. You can look at what they did. And you can look at the situation that they're in and go, that looks like something that can be duplicated. That's an offense that seems to be running pretty good. There's Steve. That's Steve. Steve, I love you, man. Steve, I never rooted for the Lions, and I never will. We got the last win, though. Whatever, man. I mean, you got the last win. You split last year. You beat us in Ford Field, and we beat you in Lambeau. I mean, that's a wash. That's a wash. That's what good teams do to each other. That's why it's called a rivalry. Welcome to the NFL. You ain't just gonna start sweeping the Lions. You can make an argument that you got better, Steve, with the Green Bay Packers. I like the Xavier McKinney. That's a good signing. That right there is where I believe that you did get a lot better. That's a nice increment jump right there. But Josh Jacobs, I don't think he got better at running back. Aaron Jones is better running back than Josh Jacobs. I mean, you could tell me that he's younger. You could tell me all that. But, I mean, Josh Jacobs has averaged less than 4 yards a carry his entire career. And your offensive line is not that much better than theirs. It's a wash. You're going to bring them over here, and maybe better coaching does do better. I got him on my fantasy team. Or I got him on my fantasy team as a keeper. Josh Jacobs. So, Steve, if you can put in a good word for me, just get them fantasy points. But you're not allowed to be whooping up on the Lions, all right? Just so we have that clear. Oh, man, it's so good to do the morning show again. Last year, we tried a bunch of different stuff when it comes with the Lions Villain Report. We went live in the morning at 11 a.m. That one was going pretty good. And then we moved to the afternoons because I thought I could get some of the West Coast people on here. That didn't really work all that well. So we're going to see how this morning show works. And if you like talking football, then this is the spot. Let's do it. Let's talk football every day. If you have questions, if you got something that you want to talk about, make sure that you throw that into the comments. Because, this is what we're doing. We're talking football. We be talking football. We're doing the training camp previews. So I don't know where you want to go with the training camp previews. I know that all the veterans for the Lions are reporting today. We do have a little bit of news when it comes to, I'm all over the place today, and let's get in here. Where's my guy at? Where's my guy? Oh, that's my guy right there. Main Event Mike. Every Monday night at 7 p.m. He's doing the Main Event Football Show. This week, we're going to be concluding our top 11 rooms, our top 11 series And we're finishing up with offensive line room where, spoiler alert, the Lions have the best offensive line in any NFL. So I'm sure that they have the best offensive line in the NFC. So let's see. Okay, there we go. Lions sign offensive guard Ike Bottinger. Boatger. Steve told me how to say it yesterday, and I like this guy. I think this is a good depth signing. He played with the Buffalo Bills, bounced around a couple times, has starting experience, and I know that when we're looking at the offensive line, in the depth, we love our starters right there. Damn it, I only made those 5 seconds. Our starters look real good. Penei Sewell, Taylor Decker, that's the best tackle duo in the league. Frank Ragnow is still going along. It doesn't matter if he has one ass cheek and 3 toes.
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
And then Zeitler was an upgrade over Jonah Jackson. So our starting offensive line should actually be better this year. And I don't think there's any question on starters. You got those 5 guys, and that's as good as anything in the league. That's as good as anything in the league. And then, but we're starting getting a little bit dicey when we're looking at the room. So we're looking at the entire offensive line room. You're looking at the depth of it too, and that's a little bit more shaky when it comes from behind the starters. You got Christian Mahogany. I like that as a draft pick. I mean, he was a 6th round pick, probably should have been picked in the 3rd or 4th round. So they got a great value right there, but you don't know about the rookies. Colby Sorsdahl, is he going to take the next step? That should provide depth. With those two, Iwasika, that's decent depth too. But then they go ahead and then they bring in Ike Bottinger, and he's got starter experience. I mean, that's what you want. If one of your offensive linemen go down, you want to be able to, have a quality guy. You don't want a giant hole. I mean, this is the NFL, baby. If you got a guy that goes down and you don't got a quality guy right up after, what do you think they're going to be sending all the pressure? So it's really, really important that they have depth. I like this signing. What did you think of this signing? If you're a Lion fan, Steve says the Detroit Lions reminds me of Logan Paul, LOL. Steve, you have been following us and been on here the entire time. I love that you come on here and give your Packer point of view, but I'm telling you, the puffed out chest that you guys have right now, like, I've been here the whole time. You guys weren't like that last year. As a matter of fact, there was a couple week period where even you yourself were gone. And it's like, you can dish it, but you can't take it. The Lions have been taking it for years and years and years and years and years. And now, if you want to say that we're like Logan Paul, we have the most consistent team in the NFC North right now. And that sounds weird to say, but as it comes to, since Dan Campbell and this regime has been here, the Lions had the 2021 rebuild. In a sense, they had a whole team of practice squad guys, to 2022 winning 9 games. And really, they just kind of dominated the NFC North. They dominated the NFC North under Dan Campbell since the rebuild. So this team is for real. And not only are they for real, they're going to be for real for a long time. They're going to be for real. Like, so even if you do, and I do believe that the Lions will split with the Packers this year, because I'm not going to take anything away from the Packers, because the Lions got a lot better this offseason. But the Packers, I don't think that the Packers got a lot better, like from player to player, personnel, but the Packers do have the most scary part of becoming a good team, which is progression. Their entire team, they made it. So here, you ready, Steve? I'm gonna help. I'm gonna give you your team a little attaboy right here because this is a rivalry again. This team that the Green Bay Packers have was young last year. They made it to the divisional round in the playoff. They had the youngest team in the NFL. Now, just because they didn't go out and, sign or replace all these guys and do all these big free agent deals, you got this scary thing in the NFL called progression. Progression. You got Jordan Love going into the second year underneath the offense with an entire offseason to get it ready. You got all of that defense that they had. That's a scary thing. That's a scary thing, watching those guys all get better together. But here's the thing, Steve. The Lions can say the exact same thing. You may have the youngest team in the NFL, but the Lions still have a really young team. And by the way, all of our guys that are progressing are 1 year ahead of where your guys are progressing. So all these second-year guys that you're counting on that are just like, yeah, we're going to kill you guys because our second-year guys, well, our second-year guys that went to the NFC Championship are going to go into the third year. And our third-year guys are going to their fourth year under here. And we didn't have a turnover. The only turnover that the Lions really had was on the secondary. And our secondary was awful last year. I'll admit that. How can you not? How could I say our secondary was anything other than awful last year? The Lions secondary down the stretch were handing out 100-yard games to stud receivers like Oprah. You can have a 100-yard game. You can have 100 yards. You can have 200 yards. So they had to overhaul that secondary. They couldn't cover. But everything else on that defense is stellar. Got a top 5 team in pressures. Couldn't get home. You know why they couldn't get home? Because they had cornerbacks who couldn't cover long enough. It's like if you're telling me that a top 5 team in pressures gets an extra second, 2 seconds to get to the quarterback, they're going to get a lot more sacks this year. The Lions are. So the Packers and the Lions, I do believe, are the two best teams in the NFC North. And honestly, I think that both of these teams are top 5 teams in the NFL. So we're going to be duking it out, Steve, and it's okay. I'm glad that you like your team. I just think my team's better. And that's okay. That's okay. We can have these heated discussions every morning, right? But it is all good. Another question I wanted to throw out to Lion fan is, who do you think is going to get paid next by Brad Holmes? Who's going to back up that truck? I am so sorry I made these slides are only 5 seconds long. So it's like, yeah, there it is. Oh, there's Brad Holmes. Boom, boom, gone. All right. Who's going to get paid next? Because the Lions have a good problem right now. And that is Brad Holmes has drafted like a straight up G since he has gotten here. This dude doesn't miss. He doesn't miss. Like even the guys that you would make a claim that he missed on, like the Levi Onwuzurike's, and some people might say he missed on Jamison Williams. And I would find some truth in that. But all these guys are still on the team. They can still make an impact. So Brad Holmes drafting so well, and then you got second-year guys that are breaking out in their third years, like Ifeatu Melifonwu and Derek Barnes and Aleem McNeil. So those are 3 guys right there for sure. Like they're going to be up for contracts. And do you think that the Lions or Brad Holmes should sign, one of them, 2 of them, all of them? Which one of these guys should get the Brinks truck backed up. I mean, Aleem McNeil could end this year as a top 5 defensive tackle because of where he's progressing. You know, why wouldn't he continue to get better? And then you put a guy like DJ Reader next to him. So this is a contract year for Aleem McNeil. You got Derek Barnes. Now, Derek Barnes, I mean, widely considered him a bust, you know, going into the last year. And then they get into training camp and they're like, whoa, where did Derek Barnes come from? And then we draft Jack Campbell in the first round. And because Ann's alone and we only run 2 linebackers, we had 2 good enough linebackers that we didn't have to put Jack Campbell right out into the mix because of Derek Barnes. Derek Barnes playing out of his skin. And he is going to be due for a contract extension or letting him go. And then there's Ifeatu Melifonwu. Ifeatu Melifonwu was graded the best safety that the Lions had last year, if you could believe that. Even though Kirby Joseph gets a lot of the recognition, Ifeatu Melifonwu came down the stretch last year and was a top 10 safety. Rushing the passer, had 6 sacks from the safety position. So he's going to be due for a contract extension. Taylor Decker's in his last year of his contract. I don't know if I would say that he's due a contract extension, but do you kick the tires on that? Would Taylor Decker come back for a hometown discount? Because I'm sure that he's not going to try to get, you know, top 5 tackle money or anything like that. He's a little bit older. This is the twilight contract for him. This is a perfect spot for a team-friendly deal. You know, put 2 years on his contract, you know, take it through to where the money starts getting really big with the Amon-Ra Sewell and Goff contracts. So I could see them extending Taylor Decker. Who do you think they should extend if you were going to spend some of that money? Over the cap has the Lions at $34 million in cap space. So they got money to be able to do some of this stuff. Are they just going to hold on to it? I think they're going to hold on to the money. I think they'll hold on to the money and they will try to extend their own players. And 1 or even 2 of those guys that I just mentioned, I think are going to get extensions. And the other 2, I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, it is what it is. When you draft well, there's no way that you can continue to pay everybody. You can't pay everybody. When guys are doing well, you got to let some of the guys go, and then you can start playing the compensatory draft pick game. And that's okay too. But who do you think they are going to extend? What do we got in here? Dwayne Keene. Amon-Ra St. Brown got paid all. Yes, Amon-Ra St. Brown got paid already. Okay, that's what Steve didn't know. Hey, you got to give Steve some grace right here. He's a Packer fan. I mean, I give him more credit than a lot of the other Packer fans because he actually comes in here, defends his team even when they're bad. And they were bad last year. But no, Steve, they did extend Amon-Ra St. Brown. He got a bag. Actually, that graphic that I made that put up there, that was originally the Amon-Ra St. Brown one. And but no, he got a bag. So now the guys that are up for extension. So during the offseason, they extended Penei Sewell, Steve. They also extended Jared Thomas, Michael W. Smith, Goff. And then they extended Amon-Ra St. Brown. And that's and those contracts really start hitting in 2026. So when they made those extensions, the cool thing that Brad Holmes did with those extensions was these guys still finished out their existing contracts. Like Jared Goff's contract doesn't start until after this year, the extension. He got 4 years on it, but he's still playing this first year out at the 31 million or whatever it was from last year. So the extension is just added on to. Same thing with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He got a nice little bonus for this year, but he's still finishing out his rookie deal. And then his extension will start next year. Same thing with Penei Sewell. He's finishing out that rookie deal. And then the extension starts next year. So in 2 years, those contracts are going to start, hitting where the cap is big. And but they're also going to have a lot of equity because they'll be able to restructure and redo those deals. And they know that these guys are cornerstone pieces right there. So really, we're talking about fourth-year players that could get extended from the Lions. And right there, you're looking at Aleem McNeil is in his fourth year. Derek Barnes is still in the last year of his rookie deal. Ifeatu Melifonwu is in the last year of his rookie deal. And Taylor Decker's in the last year of his deal. Everybody else is signed for multiple years. So on rookie deals. So Steve says, Love, I think we'll get 5 or 6 years, close to 300 million. Yeah, they're going to break the bank with that guy. They're going to break the bank with Jordan Love, which let's use this to pump up our own guy right here. Lions fans, Packers fans are going through this right now. I know that they love their Jordan Love, but there's something to be said about getting the business done, getting the business out of the way, because now Jared Goff, set that contract up and everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe they paid him that much. And now you're going to see these dominoes start to fall. I had a couple other quarterbacks that signed, already pushing him down the list. Jordan Love is going to get more money than Jared Goff. The fact that the Lions got that contract done first is such a big thing. And you may or may not think that Jordan Love deserves this contract. But here's the thing, is he's going to get this contract. You know why? Because he's next. He's next on the list. Maybe a couple of these other guys will sign before him. I don't know. But honestly, if they do sign this deal, it will probably be a record-setting deal in some aspect. So there you go. You had Jordan Love on a rookie deal. You let Aaron Rodgers, play you all the way out the door, and you got a half a year of production out of your quarterback, and now you got to bet the future at $60 million a year that this guy is going to continue that trend. Now, I know everybody loves some Jordan Love. I know, except for Lion fans. So I'm going to put this take out there because y'all can just say, oh my God, look at those last games he had. He had 8 games down the stretch, and he was so good. And he beat Kansas City. He beat Kansas City. That was a good win. He beat the Lions. That's a good win. But down that stretch, this legendary stretch that Jordan Love had, he beat the teams the likes of the Carolina Panthers. He beat the Chicago Bears. He beat the Minnesota Vikings. He lost to the New York Giants. And this is down the stretch, guys. This is down this legendary stretch that's getting him paid. He lost to the Giants. They got steamrolled by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They got their faces caved in. And then they were able to get a victory in the playoffs. They did get into the playoffs. They won their last 3 games. And I understand the hype. But there is a chance, because it's not the first time that a quarterback has had a good end of the year and everybody thought he was going to be the greatest thing in the world. And then next year he falls off of a cliff. Vince Young. Mariota. A lot of these guys had, I mean, Derek Anderson. A lot of teams that did that. And this was the same argument, Steve, that you guys gave to me after the Lions went 9-8. We went 8-2 down the stretch, and all the Packer fans were like, wait a minute. You pump the brakes. Jared Goff needs to do it for more than one thing. And now it's like you turn that argument around, and am I just a hater for pointing out that Jordan Love may be different this year? Do you know that Jordan Love fumbled the ball way too many times last year? And you fell on a lot of them. You don't always fall on those fumbles. And there's this illusion out there that Josh Jacobs is an upgrade over Aaron Jones. I mean, I think that's a rumor. And I would like to debunk that rumor because Josh Jacobs, I mean, Aaron Jones can be your slot receiver. He's so good. I was surprised to see that they just got rid of Aaron Jones like that. Maybe they know something about Jones that we don't. You know, maybe they know Green Bay does have a track record of being okay in that regard. So I just want to throw that out there. Do you think there's any possibility that Jordan Love regresses as a QB? You got a lot of these young receivers. Is there any chance that any of those receivers that showed promise last year have a regression? So that's just something to think about. Dwayne Keene says if Sam Laporta keep doing what he doing and stuff, he want that money, and we hope to keep him and pay that guy. So I feel you, Dwayne. But here's the beautiful thing is we ain't got to worry about paying Sam Laporta. Not right now. That is so far up ahead, across the mountains, over the sea. That is a million years away before we have to think about paying Sam Laporta. We are a million years away before we have to worry about paying Brian Branch and Jahmyr Gibbs. Right? I mean, I brought up the guys that we really had that are like right there. They're right in front of our windshield. Is Derek Barnes, Aleem McNeil, and Ifeatu Melifonwu. I mean, I guess you could put Levi Onwuzurike in that bag, but I don't think they're going to extend him. So it's like you got $34 million. And I don't think that they're going to, that they wouldn't extend Sam Laporta right now. I mean, Sam Laporta is definitely one. If he keeps doing what he's doing, he may become the highest paid tight end when that time comes in like 2026. And then he gets his bag. It might be one of the biggest bags ever. But Steve says, that's what I'm saying, Dwayne. Do teams pay tight ends big money? I don't, unless you're the Minnesota Vikings do. The Vikings doubled down. Not only did they pay Hawkinson too much money, they paid the backup tight end more money than any backups ever got. So ask the Minnesota Vikings. They know how to pay. They pay big money for their tight ends. Jacobs won the rushing title and Jones never did. Yeah, Jacobs won the rushing title and they gave him 7,000 carries to do it. The guy averaged like 3 yards a carry the year that he had 1,000 yards. But, you know, if you want to die on that field with Josh Jacobs, that's fine. But I know the truth. I've had him on my fantasy football team. I had him during that year where he won the rushing title. And it was great, you know, but it was like 31 carries for, 102 yards. Like, okay, that's all good. Aaron Jones is a better running back. You're not going to get me to come off of that at all. Josh Jacobs has no history of catching the football out of the backfield, and Aaron Jones is so good at that, he could be a slot receiver. I've seen him catch deep posts over the top. But Aaron Jones has been a thorn in my side from the Green Bay Packers for years. And I mean, if you just want to shove him under the rug like that, that's fine. That's fine. It kind of worked with Aaron Rodgers, I guess, if you're there with that. Dwayne Keene says, right, Jacobs won the rushing title with the Raiders. We aren't the Raiders. Yeah, but they had a better offensive line than you guys had. I mean, you could make that argument too. You're not that much better than they are in that regard. So you don't know. I mean, Josh Jacobs could be good. I mean, the guy can break tackles. I mean, you know, in the interior, they weren't very good at blocking there last year. And Josh Jacobs, you know, he's been okay. He won the rushing title, but he hasn't done much since. I mean, Aaron Jones was a beast down the stretch last year, Steve. I mean, in that Dallas game, in that playoff game, dude, he took it over. Come on, man. You were there. I know you watched that game last year at Dallas. It was the Aaron Jones show down the stretch. As soon as he came back from that injury, he was killing it. Killing it. Killing it. Dwayne says, I say pay them. Keep our guys and let them keep development and getting better. That is it. You talking about paying Decker? You say pay all of the guys? What are we talking about here, Dwayne? Because I don't think that we can pay all those guys. We can't. I mean, not if we want to be able to save money and get ready, because we have to get ready because there's some cap hits that are coming that they're going to have to be prepared for. And I do believe that's why they're keeping some of this money. So out of those four guys, Aleem McNeil, Barnes, Ifeatu Melifonwu, and Taylor Decker, they may only be able to sign one of those guys. But then again, Brad Holmes is such a freaking wizard that he'll probably find a way to pay all of them and just make it work. You know, you want to keep the core of your team. You know, people wonder why the 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers were so good. It was because those guys stayed around, man. They brought that winning recipe with that defense, and those guys stuck around. You know, you got training camps where you got guys that are, you know, working into their new situations. You know, like Steve is hoping that Xavier McKinney comes right in with a brand new defensive coordinator and just we're just awesome right off the bat. You know, the Lions have the core of the team. When you're talking about most of the guys that are on the rookie deals and they grew together, they've been growing together, and they're keeping that core of the group. You know, they're seniors now, where, you know, the rest of the NFL is bringing in some freshmen and sophomores that have to really get caught up to speed, and they're counting on those guys to make those their team better right off the bat. The Lions aren't doing that. I mean, for the most part, the starters are there already. Like, none of the new guys really even need to jump right in there. Even Terrion Arnold. There's no pressure for Terrion Arnold to come right in and start. If he wins that starting job on that cornerback, then, you know, more power to him. He'll win it as a rookie, but they don't need him there. That's why they went out and got Carlton Davis. That's why they went out and got Amik Robertson. Guys that have been in the NFL with experience that can play back there. So we have a lot of guys going into their fourth year, and they're like the senior year. They're getting to learn the most complicated parts of the plays. And I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying when it comes with that, but it's like the 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers is the best example that I can think of that, of guys that just stuck around. They had that championship, and free agency wasn't such a big thing. So it's hard to do that. New England got pretty good at being able to draft and develop guys. Even when you're talking about the Green Bay Packers. They've been able to do that. They've been able to put people onto a practice squad and then have like a 3-year curve where those second, third year guys start popping out right about the time when, you know, the other guys want to get those gigantic contracts. And then you're able to let some of those guys go. And you're running through your developments and you're bringing in the cheaper and younger guys. So that's a very good strategy. And right now the Lions are in this like sweet spot. And they'll be there until 2027, where the guys that they have on this team today, the 90% of them are going to be on next year's team and the year after that's team. And they can even go higher than that, like I said, with those 4 guys, keeping their core together that's been here for 3 years. That's a hard thing to do in the NFL, guys. It really is. Steve says Emmanuel Wilson is a sleeper running back people need to watch out for as well. Jacobs, Lloyd, Emmanuel Wilson, and Dillon. That's a loaded backfield. Yes, the Lions are a better backfield. I can't lie. Yeah, you know what? During this time, and since this is a Lions show, I understand that's on it, but on the own shows, our own, you know, local shows right here, we can talk about guys that are deeper sleepers that you're hoping that are going to be good. I can say the same thing about Sione Vaki. You know, you got Emmanuel Williams as or Wilson as a sleeper running back. I thought he was really awesome last year in the preseason. And Dillon's okay. I mean, he's all right. He's a good downhill 1 yard get it guy. I like that. But, you know, we can all tout our other weapons. You know, Craig Reynolds, Sione Vaki. They drafted him. They said this guy is a special teams ace. Like, they drafted him in the 4th round. He's going to be depth at running back, but he's already impressed with like what he knows when it comes with the Sione Vaki. I don't know if you heard the story about him, but, you know, running backs coach Scotty Montgomery go in there, starts talking to him. And he gave him something like a homework assignment, and the football knowledge of Vaki is amazing because he was a safety, but we drafted him. We're going to use him as a running back. He's a football player, so that's you know, we can look at our late round guys, you know, and hope that they're going to be really, really good. Hey. With that thought right there, we have a guy named James Houston that's on our pass rushing side that could be really, really good this year. That's one that's in comparison to a sleeper guy that nobody's really talking about outside of our own doors. Steve, all right, let's put that out there. Steve says the Packers have more offensive weapons than the Lions. Are you kidding me, Steve? Are you kidding me, Steve? You have Dontavian Wicks. You have Christian Watson and Dubs. You got your Josh Jacobs. You got a couple young tight ends. You have a lot of hopeful weapons. We have a lot of proven weapons. We have way more proven weapons. Jahmyr Gibbs about ready to take this league over. He's going to be a top 5 back this year. I'm just throwing it out there, Steve. This is just, and this is me, Homer. Maybe call me a Homer or whatever. But Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery were both top 10 backs last year in the NFL. Touchdowns, yards per carry, yards, whatever, however you want to measure it. If you're moving any of those guys out of the top 10, you're the Homer. Sam Laporta. I mean, he's arguably top 3, really unarguably top 3 in NFC for sure. Sam Laporta's a stud. You don't have any tight end that's anywhere near that. Offensive line, you don't think Penei Sewell's an offensive weapon? We have a way better offensive line than you do. Amon-Ra St. Brown is better than any receiver that you have. Now, where you have the Lions is the depth part where you have a whole bunch of guys. You have a whole bunch of guys that can play. They may be good this year. They may not be good this year. But to say you have more offensive weapons, you're a homer. That is Green Bay homer stuff. Green Bay homer stuff. Who are these guys? Who are these guys? I could say Reed. I like that. I like the room. I like the room. But our room looks just like that, but with more proof. With more proof and a better offensive line. Lions have a better offense than the Green Bay Packers. Better offense. Better offensive line. They're better. You could make an argument at the end of, we'll see. We'll see where Jameson Williams rates with all of those guys that you have there. Wicks, Watson, Reed, and Dobbs. Melton. Gosh, you even put a backup guy that's like down your, like the fifth. Hey, Khalif Raymond's going to tear it up this year. Going to tear you guys up. Like, come on, man. Start listing off your guys. All right. Let's see what else we have in here. So who do you think they're going to pay? That's what we talked about today. We were talking about the training camp preview. We got the veterans. The veterans are reporting today. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about the defensive end battles opposite Hutchinson. So remember, we talk about what you want. You know, Steve is in here. He's a Packer fan. And if he wants to come in here and make comments about Packers, then we're going to talk about some Packers. We can talk about the Packers. Dwayne Keene says Brad Holmes will sign the guys that he wants. So I will let him work his magic. It's a fun time to be a Lions fan. And this is what I'll say to Lion fan out there. If you're there with it, if you're a villain like me, one of the Detroit Lions villains, don't be ashamed to love your team this year. Don't say stuff like, don't do this to yourself. Don't say stuff like wait and see and all that stuff. Have some fun. This is an off season that you actually get to have some fun. You know, you can talk some trash this off season. And like Dan Campbell said, it could all come to an end. There's no guarantees that the Lions are just going to be the greatest team and go on a run like they did last year. You know, one of the other teams in the NFC North could make a big jump this year. It could be their year. You never know. It could be the Bears. You never know. So enjoy the offseason. You don't have to, you know, submit to all these, well, better wait and see, pump the brakes. I ain't pumping the brakes, dude. We're on a runaway train right now, and I'm going to put that pedal to the metal. And if anything gets in the way, I want it to move off. Just smash them out of the way. We're a runaway train. And if somebody stops us, they stop us. But every Lion fan, you have the right to go out there. You can talk your trash this summer. Don't let them take that away from you because you may not get another off season to do this. You may have spent a whole off season going, wait and see, and then something bad happens, and then what do you get to say? You see, I told you, I'm negative all the time. So when it's negative, I can just say it's negative all the time. Stop crying. Stop crying about it. Be a man. Love your team. Don't tell me about all the problems. Russell needs new brakes, by the way. That might be true. I don't know. But I need you to, you know, donate to the Patreon so I can afford the brakes. I need new brakes. I need new brakes. I don't know. Who needs the brakes? Who needs the brakes? More in the NFC North. Maybe that'll be the topic for tomorrow's show. Because we're coming to the end of my hour here in a little bit. Getting some of that goodness. Oh my goodness. This is the Villain Report with me, your host, Russell Wayne. Join me in the mornings, 9 a.m. in the mornings. We're going to be talking football. Training camp is here. We're actually going to have a training camp something or other. I'm sure somebody's going to speak after they have a practice today. What do you think of the new look Lions? I'm going to, you know what, tomorrow's topic, I think I am going to do this. Who in the NFC North needs to pump the brakes the most? And we'll go through all four teams and go through the pros and cons of why maybe that team should pump the brakes. And that's what we'll hit tomorrow. So I hope everybody enjoyed the show. This is the Lion Villain Report, broadcasting live each and every morning into the Lions Villain Squad Facebook page, into Detroit Lions News, and of course, we're doing the Roku thing right there with the Huddle Sports Network. Thank you very much for listening today. God bless each and every one of you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you until we meet again tomorrow morning for the Lions Villain Report. Peace out.